I'm just checking to make sure things look somewhat correct on the interwebs. Maybe you've heard of the interwebs. Oh, wait a minute. You're on the interwebs? Yes. Okay. So, yes, you've heard of them. All right. Stalling for time here a little bit as I check stuff. Excuse me. Let me open this coat. Already needing to drink something as I'm starting to talk. Okay. Okay. It is looking good, I think. Now, let's go to our saved game. I love you guys, Bill and crew, but yeah, you got the autosave up here, but you should put the most recent saves first, not last. Less clicking. Otherwise, I pretty much like your UI. All right. Okay. And I will make an episode here. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745, and we're continuing Strategic Command World War I, the Ludendorff Offensive. That's what we're playing here. Not the grand strategy game, but or the full war. I really this is what I love so far. I haven't played. There's coming out. I don't know when I'm releasing this. Probably by the time I release this, uh, as a standalone episode, the Pacific game may be out. Though there's been some stalling about that. I know a little bit about it, the stalling, why it's stalling, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say. It's not having to do specifically with Slytherin / Matrix. It's another sort of thing. So we will see what is happening there when it gets out. But this with the short bay, short timeline, short terms turns. I really love. It really captures to me the feelings of World War One. All right. Let's do a bombing, which will also sort of be reconnaissance. We have a fighter there as escort. Yeah, see, it showed us what's behind those lines. So, okay, we have 4 barrages and 3 barrages available to hit that. Hex, he's just not close enough. Yeah, I think we'll do it. Yeah, let's do at least 1 more per gun. Okay, brought him down to another one. Okay, down to... Come out to there. You can come to here and hopefully take that out. Now the question is do I push into here and surround myself? No, I think I'm going to refrain from actually occupying that hex. Why, you may ask? Why? Gamer, it's an offensive. Drive deep. Well, okay. I have two choices in moving into this hex. I can move in and attack that artillery, which will be expensive for the Belgians to reinforce it, and probably do a lot of damage to it. But then my infantry unit here would be vulnerable to attack. It would be protected from this one side here, it looks like, right along there, but not other sides. And if I come in here and entrench, I would still be flanked from up here. That would be no, if I just do the bottom three. So probably not good enough. We'll probably see about, because we have one round, or one barrage, and 4 barrages. Well, do I try to do both? Yeah, let's do this. Gamer is changing his mind. We're gonna hit him with all 4. I don't know that it'll be enough. Try it out. That was unexpected. You can come up into there. I expected the British to hold better. But he's going to come up in here and now entrench. And we can take out another whole unit here. Instead of just partially. So we're going to use up our barrages. Okay, not so great, but these guys are going to slide up, these guys are going to slide up, these guys are going to come up, and these guys are going to come into there. That's how we do it. Okay, well, I was hitting the Belgian unit because it is weaker than the British. The British retreated out. I'm guessing there's a bunch of other forces back here that just make it the inability to retreat backwards, so it retreated along the front lines, which retreated backwards would have been better, but yes, now it came in occupied here, and they can only be attacked from 3 sides, so it's a little better. So we're doing a little better there. Now here, 4 rounds. They've got their 1 shell, so we're going to fire our 1 shell. These guys are going to move in a little closer there now. And these guys are going to reinforce. Okay. So hopefully next turn, well, they'll have 6 rounds. They'll have 1. They'll have 7. We can just pound that corner there and push in. At least that's the hope. Yes. Okay. Well, here now we have another sort of corner. They're at 80+%. Yeah, I don't see a good reason why not to. Checking this out. No, there's some weaker Belgian. We got Kurt as about as. Oh boy, that didn't work. Okay. Well, they can come to here, so these guys can come up to here. And I know because I'm saving my ammo for this other attack. I was hoping to do this very cheaply. Okay, yeah, down at 9, that's still pretty strong. Okay. There we go. And you come up to there. Get on that road. All right. All right. Now back to here. Ah, I know why it's so bad. We don't have a fighter escort nearby, so we won't do that just yet. Okay. Okay, that took them out completely. I was sort of expecting to have to maneuver a little bit more. These guys can come in here and entrench. So pushing on the weaker corners, the weaker edges. And I just want to extract a little something here. Yeah. Good. No, that's correct. Right. Okay. So we're doing two things. One, we're taking some ground, which is good for the objective of getting to Paris. But actually, the more important thing, I think, is we're taking out units. And at very little cost. So that is good. Now we want to cut this road coming to Verdun. That's right. Verdun. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Sort of, kind of. So we got 6 shells and 5 shells. So let's pour it on. Okay, I think that's probably good enough. Not what I was hoping for. But it's what I've got. Yes, they need to entrench. attack this unit. Maybe we could take it out. Yep, we took it out. I don't think we can move into there. I mean, we could, but it would be slaughter for our unit. I was hoping to get this road cut this turn, but it's going to happen soon, but not just yet. So let's reinforce the divisions we can. Okay, down here on this sort of southern part of the offensive to get Verdun surrounded. Okay. As we can see here, rearranging things slightly. Okay. Let's remove the counters. So we've got here something French. We need to push down to there. But that's going to, so we're going to we need to take this town. Maybe that fort. But definitely that town. Yeah, we're going to go for the fort too. Down here. At Tyrol. Just okay. Hey, Arno, my friend. Underlings. Yeah, there's nobody else here. Okay. Just off of that. I'm just looking at the terrain. Okay, so if we do push this way, we're pushing along the road, so that's good. So we will. Well, well, Sun Temple Radio is here, so maybe Arno does have an underling now. Thank you very much. A happy Saturday to you, too. Yes, always may the die rolls be good, even if they're virtual dice. Okay, so we're gonna. We want to hit. No. You have this all wrong, Arno. You're my underling. Shattered. And you're going to move in. See, everybody, you have to watch Arno. No, he's a little bit delusional. Not a lot, but just a little bit. Yes. Toy Jet is your underling. Yes. That's fine. Got to work out these relationships for everybody. The Americans are woefully unprepared. Yes. I believe you do. Geese? Okay. If you say so. I can't entrench? Oh, hell. Okay. He's terrified of geese. Well, okay, now they've been scouted slash. Now you're not supposed to tell everybody what toy jet's weaknesses are, though, Arna. That's supposed to be your special knowledge. That sharing is caring. Okay. All right. You win, Arno. Sharing is caring. Grind, no fast wins. Absolutely. I think before you got here, Sun Tempo Radio, I was definitely saying that this is the format. You got to look at, I had a friend over the other day, and he's big into reading history, and he's a bit older than I am. Yeah, I know I'm ancient, so he's a bit older, but he'd never played any war games, and I showed him Strategic Command American Civil War because he's big into Civil War, and I also showed him Panzer General, or not Panzer General, Panzer Corps 2. He really thought after watching both of those for a while, these were a bit beyond him because he's just not used to playing war games, either tabletop or computer, and it'd be a steep curve. But I also showed him just after, so after sort of failure, and he was talking about some of the stuff, I showed him War in the East too a bit, and all the detail that goes into that game. And so, not all games are meant to be as detailed as other games. That they're designed that way. Well, Strategic Command is very good. I really do think it is, but it really achieves greatness in this. Hello, what is that? That's Teddy Belcher 4K ultra wide 21:9. Okay. Who's griping now? I'm not griping. I'm talking about how much I love this. And what this game, and especially at this scale, divisional scale here, it really plays out, in my mind at least, what war was like at this sort of strategic scale. And it does it so well. Where Strategic Command, the American Civil War game, where it falls down is the turn length is okay, but you can't have a battle like Manassas or Bull Run, or however you want to name that battle, or Gettysburg, because the armies, and reading about that war, were definitely spread out a bit. And you can look at, again, the Battle of Manassas. The armies are sort of spread out, but the Union concentrates its forces and pushes across the Bull Run River near Manassas Courthouse there. That's why the two sides. And as this is developing, the Confederacy are piecemeal bringing in more and more forces to stop this more organized push into it. And it's really, can you? I played out the war game that's at the sort of battalion scale a bunch of times. Called the great game. It's a tabletop game called Manassas. It's great, very well done for that battle. And so the Confederacy, especially very early on, is just trying to delay the Union and get the Union sort of getting its forces, because they're coming in from several different points on the map, getting them together strong enough to push, just trying to delay it enough for the Confederate reinforcements to get there to that battlefield and fight in that battle. Gettysburg is, a very accidental battle in that there are some Confederate forces hearing that, whether it's true or not, I don't quite offhand know, but hearing that there's like a, I don't know if it was like a shoe factory or just a big stockpile of shoes were over in this town. So a bunch of Confederate forces, who don't have enough supplies and and shoes, rush to try to go capture those for themselves, but I think also hoping that there's more to distribute. And Bedford's, brigade or whatever is confronting them. And so more and more forces are, over a few days, are all piling into this one zone. And you just can't do that well with this game engine. So having a battle like that, well, maybe you could do something like that if each of these counters were set up as a battalion / regiment, whatever you want to call it. That you might be able to do with the right scale of map. Maybe that, but not on any of the stuff I've seen. But you still can get and I'll say quick hi to Ari here, but I'll look at the chat just a moment. But it does for the strategic game, shall we say, of the American Civil War. It does have the right sort of pacing, so you can't get the sort of big combined grand battle that would periodically take place in the American Civil War. But you do sort of get the strategic grind of the American Civil War, and you very much get that here in this game. Whether you're playing like here now, basically at the division level, these are divisions, but when you come up here, you can also purchase detachments, so you can do smaller units here. So, and the pacing, whether you're playing it, this is divisions or larger corps and armies, the sort of grinding pace of the war is well done. It doesn't nearly as well translate into World War II, where you periodically, like the Battle of France, you periodically get your big lightning moves that cover large areas of the map. Just doesn't do it as well. But it does do sort of, and I will get to people's questions, it does do sort of the grind of the Eastern Front once it becomes that. And that, periodically you do have, Operation Citadel or, the Battle of Kursk or maybe the initial Russian push into Kursk area to hold it. You do sort of have that feel, limited offensives, lots of grind. So it's not bad. It's good. doing the other things, but it's great doing this, in my opinion. So, okay, Arno says, and I care about Toy Jet, so yeah, he's a little brother I never had. Yep. Good to hear. Okay, what's this now? I haven't seen this campaign in a long while. Yep, Harry, this is Ludendorff's Offensive, World War One. Okay, are the tokens mod or vanilla? Look fun on sale right now. Yes, there's a lot of games on sale. Always, if you can, unless you just gotta have to have the game, get it on sale. Okay, these counters started out, and there is started out as a mod. There is a version to have like 3 guys standing up on a round sort of circle for the game. There is that version of the game, and or settings that you can go to. But I got to where I can read the counters. So now this started out as the Blue Max mod, but now it is included as a free DLC to the game. So you can automatically have you go into settings at the start, and it's not hard to select these. And so if you read NATO counters, the little dots above it too for the division are a bit small, but so you can read the NATO counters. And I don't know. Okay, you can see. Yeah, I think if you can see the 2 differences in these French guys here, sort of early war without a helmet, later war with a helmet, and so these are upgraded. You can, because there is not so much there is a little bit of research you can do here, but with the big game there is research. So there are grades during World War One. So you can sort of tell looking at the Germans here, and maybe like this guy here, you can see he's a bit different, though there's part of that cover for no action points over it, no AP. He looks like he's an earlier war German with a pickle hoop, I believe, on the pointed helmet. And so you can quickly read the gradations of things on these units. So it sort of is a mix between NATO and a standing up 3D type looking sprite. Okay, so remember you used to let me sit in and talk about World War One. I know, we can maybe do some of those sometime, though we're just looking at this. And those were good episodes. I like them. I like making them a lot, and I think they're good. So, is it possible to get nations which were neutral during the Great War involved in the war, either by attacking them or getting them in? I'm not sure on that, Arno. I generally, I don't know. I honestly, I'm just not sure. I honestly just don't know. I guess you're sort of thinking that maybe invade the Netherlands or something. I don't know. I know not with this scenario because we're just looking at the offensive here. Yeah. Now with the American Civil War game, that's a definite yes. There is. I was playing it the other night. It depends on when you start the American Civil War. You can start it sort of at the, in April, fairly early in 61 there, or you can start it a bit later in July for Manassas, and you have more states coming into the Confederacy. And they even have a mechanism that starts Kentucky out as neutral, and so that neither the Union nor the Confederacy can move forces into it. And there is a diplomatic ability to do diplomacy, which in essence the Union is doing into Kentucky to keep the Kentucky in the Union, so they don't invade early on. But the Confederacy can You could decide to invade as the Union, but you just simply get another state in the Confederacy. The Confederacy, knowing that it will eventually, whether, how many turns is only the question, is how quickly does it join the Union. You can decide to bring a lot of forces up along the border to Kentucky and then declare war on Kentucky, which just makes it a Union. It goes from being the idea of sort of an independent state into just being part of, Union territory, but allows you to rush Confederates in to try to occupy strategic positions in Kentucky. And there's mechanisms to attempt, or there's some mods that have, like Britain or France in the war. So there is a diplomacy path on some of the games. Japanese War DLC, and pull out a victory for the Tsar. That might be interesting. That really might be, Harry. Yes, for the Kaisers. So yeah, so I just love the way that this game works here. Okay, so we have 4 action points. It'll take 3 to move into this position. And then we want to come in and entrench, but in essence, turn the trenches around. And we're going to move our artillery piece up and reinforce these guys. Okay, we have a bunch of forces back here. Those that need reinforcing, we will do. And we'll move some others more up to the front. Any of these, I know they've mostly been flying this turn. I think next turn we'll need to reinforce air units. Do we go here or do we go here? Okay, I don't think we need to push further south. Again, we can look at the map here. These roads/railways are very, very critical for supply. So we pushed in here. We need to get Nancy and push towards Toul? I don't know how you pronounce that, the fortress. Because we want to push down we're again trying to cut off Verdun from supplies, because that's pretty hard for it to take. But it has its own secondary supply source, so it doesn't, if you cut it off, it doesn't mean it dies of lack of supply. But if you cut it off, it means they can't keep sending in reinforcement troops. So they keep supplied, but they don't, you can't continue bringing in fresh troops. So if we just move down this railway here, that would allow the French to put up a defensive/offensive line to try to keep breaking in. But if we come down here and take this one, this whole area will be, we can sort of kind of see, do the supply thing. We can see how our supplies quickly peter out into here. So will theirs. So this becomes something of a no-go zone, but definitely a no, major offensives. So if we push down this railway here and push down and cut this railway here, because it's the railways that we have to absolutely cut, though we do want to eventually fully cut off. So taking here are the 2 critical points. Yes, and that's one thing you can try to push deep in. Now, tank units, there's only one right now on this. Well, there may be a British one around here. I think there's a British tank. Well, maybe, yeah, I think there's a British tank unit somewhere, though it's not at the front line at the moment. Tank units cannot entrench, so they don't entrench. But infantry and cavalry both can entrench, and artillery and HQs. HQs cannot attack, but they do have a considerable defensive value. Sort of, they've got a lot of, reinforcement troops that are getting ready to go to the front line or whatever. So they can defend themselves, but they're not organized as an offensive unit. So and they're expensive to reinforce once they're damaged. And the higher the number, the better off they are at supplying and giving bonuses to the units that they are, because you can sort of see by clicking on here what units they're supporting. Well, we can reinforce here. So, a 5 strength HQ does approximately, I guess, half that a 10 strength does. So you want to keep them as strong as they can. So you don't want to use them as, holding the line. But if they're sitting in a fortress hex, and they don't get to entrench, but but if they're like sitting on an objective or a crossroads that would allow an enemy to come in, and at least there's a hope of bringing in reinforcements to hold the position, yeah, have them fight. Otherwise, it would be better to get them back out to some other, behind some other lines that you're forming. So you don't want to sacrifice them for that, but they can. And so, as some Sun Temple Radio has said, you have entrenchments in this game, and so it really, I could have moved into this position here. I had intended to move into the position, but the one unit that I attacked, moved over to here. So if I had moved in to here, I didn't have enough action points because the closer you are to enemy troops, it slows up your movement and moving by them. So a unit here, he can move this far, but he can't move along the front line this far. You can see he only come to here. He can come back around, but to get in here, so zones of control prohibit there. So you don't want to just come into here and then have a bunch of units attack you and destroy you. So you want to move up and entrench, move up and entrench. So you want to keep doing that as you go along. So yeah, that's really, to me. Hey, von Schweinhund. Oh my God, Richthofen died. Yes. Is this the time he died? I know the story of his death, but I don't know the date. Okay. So we currently have 831 MPP. Now, I'll also say that I am trying to play this whole campaign. I have played through this once before, all the way to the end of this is a long campaign. I don't know that we'll see how the audience likes all this, but we'll get to I can talk about the 21st. Okay. So it's April 18th, 21st. Okay. I didn't know the date of his death. For being a historian, dates aren't stuff that stick in my head. So I have played this out before. And there is the series on YouTube if you want to watch it. But I'm sort of playing this again. I really enjoy it. But I'm playing it as if I was the general, Ludendorff. And one of the big, even knowing that this is a war of attrition, I mean, sure, you still pay attention to positions and, tactics and strategy, where to put your hammer blows on the front line and all that. But I'm also playing it to not waste lives. You can fight a war of attrition smartly, okay? And that's what I would say the Germans ultimately did and not ultimately, but, fairly early on, they moved to the strategic defensive. the French, deep into the war, and I know Ari knows a lot about World War One, but deep into the war, the French are still trying with this elan of offensive attacks, coming out of the Napoleonic Wars, to not sit back and wait for your opponent to have the initiative. But in the age of barbed wire and machine guns with lots of artillery, that's a stupid plan. Okay, just straight up. Now, once you get into the age of tanks, which really obviously comes alive, to fruition in World War II. We're starting to see it in World War One and towards the end. Excuse me. But once we really get, the age of tanks, then we can get back to the age of offensives. And so, offensives do work in World War One, though we can't go look at the part of the map in places like the East, because you cannot. They do not have the numbers to put the whole Eastern Front behind barbed wire and machine guns. Because you need the two. One doesn't do it. We can even look at early World War One battles, and some of the ones I've read particularly are ones that Rommel wrote about. And the density of machine guns goes radically up during the war. But just having a bunch of machine guns out there doesn't stop movement. Because machine guns will suppress, you show up with a bunch of machine guns, you can then suppress the enemy enough to then rush them. And so you can keep that war maneuver. It takes the barbed wire added to it to slow up movement. So you need that. And then, and yes, the title of a book that goes into the details of the Maxim machine gun is called The Devil's Paintbrush. Yes, there's a lot of killing with machine guns, but the big sort of killing is artillery. Now, mentioning the Austrians, yes, we will eventually get some opportunities to have some Austrian reinforcements to the Ludendorff Offensive. So we may see some Austrians. I think it's a decision that has some ramifications in this game. Do you want the Austrians, or do you want to have the Austrians to do an offensive in their region or something that weakens the Allies or whatever? So you get a choice, I believe. It's been a while since I played that part, but yeah. So, okay. Now going back to here to purchase, we have 800. Okay, we're going to go for one more anti-air unit because it's 75 MPP. Keeping those behind the lines. Well, and we want this fully upgraded. 270. Yeah, we'll do one more cavalry division. Cavalry divisions, when I played this earlier, were definitely helpful for several reasons. Oh, and we can see here that because he's a higher level, and then we can see the counters. That's a level 1 with the pickle hoop, level 2 infantry weapons here with a stall helm, level 3 with a camouflage stall helm and a bandolier, sort of your stormtrooper look, just to give you the idea of the different. But I think we will not put. We can look at our production. Some of these are stuff I've bought. Some are still from preset. reinforcements coming in. So we have those coming in. We can look at Austria here. So in July, August, somewhere in here, yeah, July, August, we will have the potential of bringing in some Austrians. So there, the Strategic Command crew does very much look at player-made mods, and I think one of the team members now started out as a modder, but they are so they really do the research. And sort of like I say, I'm not going to try to grind into this unit with all of these reinforcements. I very well might be able to grind in that, but I'm trying to concentrate my artillery enough at certain points, generally about 2 batteries at a point, to really pound it into submission and then push into the region. Do I want to move him here? I think I do. And he's, yeah. Okay. Full disclosure, I know many of you already know this, so maybe everybody watching currently, I don't know, but those that may watch later, I do have, I am not an employee, but I do, streaming for, and yes, paid for Slitherine/Matrix. They're basically the same company, though 2 different brandings. Yeah. Oh, here, Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron, shot down and killed. They do have a little bit of announcements kind of things. So full disclosure, but even when I'm on Slytherine's channel, I am not trying to sell you the game. I'm trying to present the game to you, yeah, in a positive way. But you decide whether it's for you. And then you have to there are a bunch of strategy game sales, not just for Slytherin Matrix. So if you're into this type of game, you might want to check them out. We lose some MPP to bombing. I always push buying during sales. But this may not be the game for you. And you also need to look at, cost and the amount of hours you think you want to play the game. There's the British tank. Looks like a Mark V right now. We have some defensive artillery, though was not very effective. Wow. Expected them to be more effective than that. And this is also showing why you don't necessarily want to shoot all your barrages or rounds that you can fire, because having it sit here on the defensive helps break up the attack. They still could take this. I mean, this is not looking that I'm down to 1 strength. Okay, they locked in no more action points, so they can't come after him anymore. He lost 3 strength. He lost 2. Didn't lose any here. Another one coming up to attack. He lost 2. So this is ground away. What was that? 7 strength from the enemy here. And we just lost a little bit here. Oh, good. They're coming in behind my lines. Stupid for them, but good for me. Okay, French is not Toul. We're too near the fort. They're getting ready to bombard us. Germans at Toul. Okay, we're spotting some units behind the lines. Don't know why there's a French. Okay, German attack bombers. Good. I think we will keep them down here. Okay, we have some fighters too. Some recruits. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put one of the bombers up here, put them on the railway, and fighter here to help cover them. So now we've got, now here, this is sort of easy. They think they're coming in behind me to flank me. The AI, AIs are not as bright as we think they are. And this is a challenging AI. It's not playing, normally doesn't play too stupid, but it'll keep doing something like this. It'll keep moving this unit in, keep coming around here to try to take here. And so I can just slaughter a unit here, basically. And although I've just lost 6 points and it's lost 7, and now I'm going to not even lose 1 there. But it takes a lot longer time to bring back a division than it does to just reinforce. And it also costs more MPP to do that. So I'm winning even though it may not look like it greatly. Okay, up here. All right, we've got this now. And you can also see with this, okay, they're at 97% readiness, 104 morale. Okay, 2 shells, 2 shells. We start attacking here, we're not going to do well. So we're going to pause our offensive. We're going to reinforce in this, just in this region here. Let the rain have its day, but it will also allow us again to reinforce things like the Zeppelin unit, the aircraft. We could upgrade this. Yeah, we'll upgrade it instead of. You can upgrade or reinforce. We're gonna upgrade it to newer standards. Our artillery. I'm not gonna super reinforce it, though it might be a good idea. But by not shooting this turn, it'll get 2 more barrages per gun, so that next turn it'll do better. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, I figured we'd get shot up. Not that bad. Mainly what I wanted to do was see what was behind there, because I'm ready to take that British unit out, I think. So, see, these guys here are in a world of hurt. But, okay, we'll have to see about getting them out of the front. Fire the big gun. Okay. I'm going to move slightly back. You come back to there. Yeah. Make sure you're trenched better. Yeah, we need more sides. Okay, we're not going to occupy it this turn because the tank did so much damage to that other unit. Are you going to Dunkirk them? As in try to push to cut them off? Well, I think I did some of that in the last time I played through. That's Dunkirk. By taking out these ports, you start limiting where Britain can send reinforcements, because I think they have to deploy their reinforcements, if I remember correctly, back here in Britain, where, Germany can, at a lot of its cities. So taking the ports does it including lowering the morale of the enemy. Some of these ports, it also can really stifle where the British are able to either replace or add new units. So they have to come in here, get to a port, come across, and then come up to the front. So it takes them a while to get to the front. Now they can just reinforce where they're at, but to get new units over here. Now the question is do we try to take with this to push up like this to cut off a pocket? We'll have to see. And now remember, even these tank units are slow and are, I think, even slower than infantry units. You look at their action points. We can maybe quickly look. What's the action points on this? And terrain does affect them. Yeah, we only have 3 action points, where with a standard infantry unit, now he's sort of a little bit out of supply. Again, we can see supplies here. If you start getting low on supplies, like down into 3s, you're only getting 3 out of your 4 action points per turn. That's why we have to be very careful about roads. But infantry as standard have 4 action points. So they're slower than infantry and whatnot. So big pushes to, cut off. Yeah, if they start collapsing enough and you're able to push along one of these rail/road, these are both rails and roads, that is just a road, where that is a rail and a road. So it might be, and we have already, Ari, taken, what is that? Newport. We've taken Newport, spelled in a very French sort of way. We've taken that. So that started out as enemy. You can see all the shell bombardment pits, shell bombardment pits, which actually does slow up, I believe, the tanks moving into that area. So, yeah, moving probably to Dunkirk very well may be along the coastline here, but we very well may, if we ever get to the late stage on this, push along this path here or this path here and cut off some forces more at a Calais or Boulogne position. INN would love to see you do a playthrough of this game as the Allies from 1914. Yeah, that could happen. Unlike World War One, how do I put this? Yes, we do have a model of how the Allies or the Entente can win World War I because, hey, they did it. So you can sort of kind of play like they did. You try to get in the allies that you can get in, countries like Romania, countries like Italy, a bit later in the war. And you can follow their model and have, have the plans of how to win. But I would say that the Allies at best win poorly, because even if if you want to look at World War II, and this is what I can explain to people that I find fascinating about the Confederacy, the bad guys, pro-slavery, absolutely, they're pro-slavery. I don't think of them as bad guys. I'm sorry, people, I don't. Yeah, I know they were pro-slavery, but the world was pro-slavery. The whole planet was pro-slavery before 1790 or something. Okay, yeah, you get a few freaks out there who want to stop slavery before that, but really, and I know everybody focuses in on slavery as being white people enslaving black people, but you can look at Arabs, but you can look at black tribes or Indian tribes would capture slaves from other Indian tribes. And obviously, probably all of my viewers have read enough about the Roman Empire and how, yeah, the Italians, sure, they enslaved very few Africans, very, very, sub-Saharan Africans, black Africans. But they enslaved lots of Mediterranean people, but also a lot of northern people, too. And the Vikings took lots of slaves. Everybody took slaves. So the world the Confederates grew up in, slavery was just a fact. And it was starting to creep into their heads even that maybe it's wrong. Okay. Maybe it's wrong. And we can still, even in the United States Constitution, still, I don't know if you guys know this, it's still all right. They actually said in the Constitution, I don't remember the exact quote, I could do some parts of it, but that you can still have slaves in America. We can still do it. But not. I don't think you can do it I'm not sure if you can do it as a private ownership, but where you can still sort of do slavery is for punishment, if you will. You can be, it's no longer, I do see your post over on Rumble. Or no, I do sort of have that chat window open over there, but it's on the side. I don't look at it so much, but hi, anybody out on Rumble. It's no longer generational. It's no longer just because, you're captured. It's like as a punishment, like being, sentenced to hard labor or some other, sentencing. You can be forced to do labor as part of the punishment or something within the American Constitution. So they even held that out as being, so you can't just pick somebody up and, hey, you're a slave now. No, it's like, hey, you did something bad. Well, we could put you in a prison, or we could, put you on a road gang, a chain gang, to, do some work, whether in a farm or on a road or city building or a private building, and the government can rent out slave labor, kind of thing. So, hello, I don't know, D.W. Reese. Yeah, you're right, D.W. Reese. Partially, but what the right of states to do what? Have slaves. Yes, there is definitely the states' rights issue. So absolutely. But what right were they particularly trying to protect? To have slavery. So this is why I don't think of the Confederacy people as bad guys. They were starting to creep into their minds that maybe slavery was bad. And some definitely it had, but as a general consciousness. Where I look at the Nazis, yeah, they're just evil. They're the bad guys. And with some Home Before Christmas, sirs. Oh yes, some people even place themselves into slavery. Oh, yeah, well, indentured servants is normally the term for it. Yeah, they're famously, shall we say, in America particularly, um, people would trade a set period of time, often with conditions. So it wasn't quite slavery, but it was indentured servitude. And so it might be something like, and this is what they would do is, hey, for free passage to America, because most people had to not only pay to be riding on the ship, they had to either pay for food or bring food with them to get across the Atlantic. So a lot of, Britons of various types would go, hey, yeah, I'll sign up to give you 5 years of my labor, but it would be defined as something like, oh, hey, again, I don't know the exact terms, but it's like 5 days a week, probably 10 hours a day. I'm, willing to do, like for a woman might be more domestic work. A man, it might be, just general labor. And yes, the contracts within a certain bounds could be sold, but you wouldn't be landing in Massachusetts and be sold down to Virginia. There was still sort of, some contractual stuff going in. So, it is I wouldn't call them placing themselves into slavery as opposed to contract labor. But it's close. It's close. And D.W. Rees says, sorry, you're wrong. During the creation of the nation, the rights of the states were the most important aspect of the Constitution. Well, I agree with you there, but the Confederate Constitution enshrined slavery as a basic element of uh, their nation, and you could not be a Confederate state without accepting that there was slavery. So, yes, I agree. And in the 1850s or early 1850s, I believe there was a sort of a movement for some northern state to think about breaking away over states' rights, over a different set of rights, and I forget what. So, yeah, states' rights, and I understand where you're coming from, and most Southerners weren't fighting to keep slaves because I think it's like 5% of Southerners actually own slaves. Whether it's like one guy, who let's say has a hardware store or something, but also does, needs a bit more manual labor, owning a single slave, or obviously the big plantations that we're all familiar with. But still, it's like 5% of Southerners owned a slave. So it wasn't that. This country is about experience more issues with state. Yeah, that's very true. We are, whether it's abortion or gun rights, yes, we are now teetering back and forth on how much authority should the federal government be and how much authority should the state governments have. I'm from California, though that's not where I am at the moment. Morning deep conversations, more coffee needed. Hello, Jamnuska. How you doing, Jamnuska? Um, well, if you're talking about Maryland and Kentucky, yes, they had slaves. In Tennessee, yes, they had slaves. If that's what you're talking about, uh, those are maybe more border states. I think most northern, true northern states, not just states still in the Union, were did not allow slavery. I think. I'm not absolutely sure on that. Boston had slaves. I don't think Boston had slaves. Well, if you're talking way back when, I don't know if Boston had, because Boston is in Massachusetts. I don't know if the state or the Commonwealth of Massachusetts had slavery after independence. I'm not sure on that. Now, did they have slaves way back during in Britain? And Britain is really at different points in time, but Britain allowed slavery in their colonies wherever it was. So yeah, colonial Britain, you could have a slave there, and I'm sure there were some. There weren't large numbers, to my knowledge, but there were some. So that's different under that. I'm from Kentucky, the CSA. Don't get me wrong, the spirit of rebellion, I love it, but their nation was a disaster. Yeah. Did Ohio have slaves? Maybe. I don't know if you know for sure. Because now Ohio was not created as any sort of government until after independence. And was fine until the CSA invaded. Most were domesticated slaves. You know they did. Well, as you pointed out, the war is about states' rights. We should have had a rebellion for every tax added on. Well, yeah, Ari. Certain taxing is good. I'm going to grab another Coke here, and I'll be right back, and we will continue this. So I'll be right back. Almost back. Whiskey Rebellion 2.0. Yeah, those states' rights had not get taxed at all. Their economic government wise was inflating. They had federalized, and they do things that they supposedly, yeah, areas going into his text wall mode. I can see here, but they couldn't even walk before they got their teeth kicked in. I got push the idea, but it doesn't really matter. The issue, the wars changed needs and desire. World War II wasn't to fight to destroy, but it became that fight. Yeah, well, depends on who you talk to. Churchill always wanted to destroy Nazism even before the war starts. So Churchill's war is to destroy Nazism. And if you're counting the invasion of Poland as the start of World War II, we can debate when World War II starts, Ari, but and Churchill wasn't prime minister right then. I know Chamberlain was, and he very quickly becomes uh, First Lord of the Admiralty, which is a civilian position over the British Navy. So Churchill from the beginning wants to destroy Nazism. So yeah, it more or less is a war to stop Nazism. Okay, so we purchased a bunch. Yes. Oh no, we haven't. Oh no, we did the new turn. That's right. Why? Oh, we haven't done the purchasing, but we have done the offensive. Well, let's continue this with our ability to. Now, because I have not been gutting my forces with infantry attacks that are stupid, we have lots of MPP. And as we start to push in deeper and deeper, our front line will get longer and longer. So we will need more units. And although we didn't buy any this time, we will in future get some detachments to hold flanking positions and whatnot as we're pushing in. But we can see like the French were pushing around in here and how they got slaughtered. We don't want to do that ourselves. I think the invasion of Poland kind of signifies it. The invasion of China by Japan. Yeah, because we look at whether we want to say the war starts in, the invasion of Manchuria by, the invasion south out of Manchuria by the Japanese, the whole Marco Polo Bridge incident. We could look there. Or you could sort of Spain is connected to World War II, even though, Spanish Civil War, even though it doesn't actively participate as a combatant, but it is sort of a prequel battle that is being set up. And you can also sort of look at, do you consider major breakings of the Treaty of Versailles, the start of the war? Remilitarization of the Rhineland. Or you can look at Germany's military invasion of Austria. Yeah, it wasn't opposed by the Austrian army, but it was a military invasion. Or the military invasion earlier in 1939 of the rest of Czechoslovakia. Again, not opposed by the Czech army, but it was a military invasion. You can just look at the whole Munich conference. So, you can talk about things like that as when it starts. But, the Blue Division gets sent to the east. And unbuttoned tunic and drunk. Do not rush to arrest him. Most likely he's Spanish era. Right? Okay, so I guess we are done with this turn. French fortress artillery. Yeah, if you get within 1 hex of a fortress, like we are here, it does get bombardment effects on that unit. Just to keep that in mind. So you don't want to, and I'll show you just when this is done with their turn. They're bombarding back in here. I could maybe use a fighter in this area to intercept, as well as escort our Zeppelins. Just like that one's doing. They really don't like my tank unit, do they? The Americans are shooting at them. Grenade stand. Yeah, and that's also income tax was introduced. I don't know if it was temporary, but it was just to be for the, back then, the millionaires. It was just like 1 or 2%. And it was basically to fund World War One. I'll explain war bonds in just a moment as well. Because war bonds weren't there to fund the war. Not really. Yes, you're bombarding our forces here. Okay, we lost 2 divisions and got bombarded. But okay, more German artillery. Where do we want it? How concentrated do we want to be in one area? Here we have an artillery piece and a tank operating sort of together. Here we've got a couple of artillery pieces as they had been focusing here. Now it's getting a little further away that they can't maybe focus. So that could be good. But I don't know. Here we got 2 artillery pieces, but plus railway artillery pushing down there. Here we've got 2 artillery pieces working together, and here 2 more working together on that unit. And 2, 3, if you want to count it up here. So well, we could put some pressure here. So maybe we'll put him here. All right, good. We're getting some fighters. Like I was saying earlier, we need a few here to escort slash intercept this sort of area here. No, let's put you there. And railways really help with moving units around, because we can come here and you can see where we can fly to rebase, but we can also go here since we're on a railway. We can move you, one turn paying the MPP price all the way up to there or somewhere. So you sort of keep that in mind. So we do not want to move into these hexes that are just outside of the Verdun fort, because any unit in those hexes, enemy units of Verdun, will get artillery. So you really don't want to do that. We moved him here because we're pushing in on Toul. And an economics lesson we'll have here: war bonds just now support our war effort. War, at least, and I know this best from the American perspective, and I think it is true everywhere for World War One, at least. I mean, not World. Well, for World War Two. Sorry, for World War Two. It might be different in World War One, but for World War Two, war bonds did not fund the war effort for America. I know that's what they say they did, but they did not. What funded World War II for the Americans was deficit spending, just spending money. In essence, printing money and spending money. But what happens if you do that? Well, Germany, we can look at Germany in the 1920s and the early 1930s. You can see hyperinflation. And maybe the best example of that out there is Zimbabwe. So you can just spend money. Now, in World War II in America, they were mostly spending money wisely, even though they were spending it in deficits. But what happens when you spend money in a war? Well, just about everything being made is going into the war effort. Because I don't know if they did ration some cloth and some such, but I know like in Britain and in Germany they were rationing shoes. So you could like maybe buy a pair of shoes every year or something like that as a civilian. But most of the shoe production were going to soldiers' boot, if you will. Different shoe types for soldiers. So all those workers in a shoe factory or any other war factory, just about any factory at all, are making money. And a lot of items are rationed. And there's also a lot of price controls on items. Now, if you didn't know this, at least in most cases, and maybe in all cases, with a lot of the goods are rationed. But you still need to pay for them. So you need your ration coupon, plus you need money. So even though you have a ration book issued by the government, doesn't mean you get to have anything that, from that book. You still have to have money. There's definite price controls going on. Now in Britain, they did not ration tea or beer. You can have as much as you can buy. But they did ration other things, including hard spirits and other, alcohol stuff too, but not beer. But what happens when your shoemaker, your rifle maker, or your tank factory guy, or your iron mine guy, somebody's mining iron is going to be turned into steel. He gets a pocket full of money, but there's nothing to buy because there's no new automobiles being made. Well, yeah, there are. They're called trucks, and they're going into the army. So there's nothing for him to buy, but he's getting lots and lots of money. And of course, like I say, they're rationing stuff to try to keep inflation down. Because if you don't ration, but there's still limited amount, well, people will just, offer more and more money for something, and so it'll be people with money that get the stuff. So they're rationing it out. But things that aren't rationed will skyrocket in cost. So not some things like cars. I don't think in any of the nations involved in World War II cars are rationed. Like you only get permission to buy so many cars. You can buy as many cars as you can afford. It's just things like gasoline is rationed. Oh, and they're not making any new cars. So you're buying used cars. You're not buying new cars. So prices of used cars would shoot up. So what they do is they do this war bond scheme. Their deficit spending, the governments, basically all of the governments, don't care how much their deficit spending. They don't care, let's say that they're deficit spending $1 billion a year. They don't care if they sell $1 billion in war bonds to fund it. They're just spending that money. Now, what they will do, like I say, is issue war bonds so that people will take that money that they're making, working in the factories, or soldiers. American soldiers were paid very well. British soldiers weren't. It varies from nation to nation. But even soldiers who don't have a lot of things to pay to spend their money on, well, they might spend their, send it home if they want to support their family, whether it's their parents or, sisters or whatever, or, their own wives and children, depending on age and who the soldiers are. They might do that with it, but otherwise they might not have a lot of things to spend their money on. And so get them to buy war bonds. And you have it set up as an interest loan that they'll get back eventually. And so it's designed to take money out of the market. So you're pouring money into workers who are making stuff they can't buy. The steel worker, there's nothing steel that he's making can buy, and so there's nothing there. So war bonds are to get money out of the market and to give them an interest payment back, but one that is minimal and will take years to mature, to fully get paid back. And so it'll give time for the governments who have just spent, and now they get money to sort of cover some or all of the deficit, but it's going to take them years and years to pay that off of peacetime. So it's just a way to keep inflation from happening, is really what war bonds are about. Okay, let's get von Schweinhund's. Given that the Entente has more planes, probably better to concentrate the JASTA and CS on major passive advance. Well, okay. We've just acquired these guys. These are ground attack bombers. But this is a recon bomber. So this is meant here, along with these down here. This is ground attack. This is recon bomber. This is a recon bomber. Recon bombers are meant to be a combination of light bombing and reconnaissance for like future, near future attack. The photo reconnaissance. I hope that was helpful, Sun Temple Radio. I know it's just sort of a basic look at what the war bonds were really about, but that's my understanding of them. So, these are, they're doing photo reconnaissance, like here's the bunkers, and getting ready for artillery bombardments, infantry attacks, and whatnot. Somewhere here, I think it's a bit more up here. Let's see if I can find it. I think we have one heavy bomber as Germany. Maybe it's still in the production queue. Still in the production queue here. Yeah. These with the really wide wings. These are more like strategic bombers to bomb cities, sort of like what the Zeppelins are doing here. So when I fly over and bomb an area with a Zeppelin, it doesn't do anything to the unit below it as far as I can tell. But it does it's sort of meant to be bombing one of these, strategic points. But what I'm just using it for is an ersatz reconnaissance attack to just see what's behind here, because if I take this British unit out, I don't know what's in this grayed out area. Could be more units like here. And so if I move into there, if I move into this X, if there's anything here that can attack it, this could be artillery which wouldn't attack it, or could be a headquarters or an air unit or whatever that wouldn't attack. But if this is like an infantry or cavalry or tank unit, it would attack as sort of an ambush. So you want to see what's behind the front lines as you're getting ready to move into an area. Should be in Flanders, the Gotha. Right, yeah. But right now, at least for this scenario, they're still in the production queue. So the ground attack bombers here, I don't think they do the reconnaissance bit, but they do a good attack on it. So yeah, you want to use them where you're making your pushes for sure. And again, what I'm trying to, this map is all, other than sort of navigation, is almost useless. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to cut off Verdun to then eventually take it. And we are pushing to the sea here against the British, and we're pushing along the sea from up here. So once we get Verdun, surrounded, then we will see about continuing to push, west, as well as reducing Verdun. So yeah, it's a mixture of concentration and spreading things out. Okay, 4, 3, and 2 shells. Okay. Right, well, we're going to move you down to here, and we're going to entrench you. We're going to move you up to here. We're going to we could upgrade you. You can't upgrade when you're in contact with the enemy, as far as I know. Yeah, well, you're at 9 strength, so you're almost full strength. We're going to upgrade you. Okay, why can't he upgrade? Because he's, I don't know. Well, we'll reinforce him at least. Now here, yeah. Well, okay, so we'll think about this for the moment. Oh, Interceptors, do these, yeah, they're close enough to escort them, good. Yeah, expose the unit behind him. There we go. Okay, 4 shells, 5 shells. Not good. Well, that's reasonably good odds, but we're still worried about that. Okay, so okay, so now we can I'm going to push up from here. Okay, that hits damn hard. So we've taken that out. Now these guys, they have 4 action points. Needs 3 to come in here. And they'll come in here and entrench. There we go. So not only did we take out a unit, we pushed up along the front. Okay, you up to here. Force. Mhm. Okay, what are we? We're trying to push the enemy. Okay, we need to push along this axis here. Right, what we're doing. Because up here, we need to push along this axis. So long as they hold that, we're not going to push in further. Ah, so need to be on a railway, I think, to upgrade. All right, how many shells does he have? 8. Good. Um, and one more. Let's try for overwhelming. Right. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna risk the. Oh, we've already used him. Is there anybody back there? Probably. Okay. We're gonna swap these two. He's gonna shatter him. And we're gonna hope. Nope. 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 Yep. Yep. Painful. 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 And but we are gonna entrench. So yeah. Okay, weak, but we're there and entrenched. So that is pushing up. Now here we get, again, we want to cut this railway. We want to particularly take this town. That gun is too far back to do anything. We'll get him upgraded to level 2. All right, so we're saving up. They can hit down to here. Right. Now we're right next to this fort with this unit, which is getting hit every turn. But and we can see, yeah, we want to take that road. So we want to take the Americans down here. Okay. We're going to move you. Oh, okay. You come down in trench. Because you're a strong, fresh unit. You can come down here. Let's take all of your. Okay, you've got enough. You can come in here and entrench. I want trench. Okay, you can't reinforce. Okay, well, we're pushing past a lot of our supplies, I think. It's a pity that there are no World War I games that combine strategy and tactical battles and good graphics. World War I was such a failure that there is not a lot of interest in it. Because I'll say the World War I is a failure for all sides. It's just a complete failure. And I wanted to, and I haven't done this yet, I wanted to reinforce these forces here, which is why I did not attack with them. There now. Oh, Great War, Eastern Front. Okay. I'm not sure. So I have played Harry is a big fan of World War One. If you haven't quite figured that one out yet, anybody? There are some shooter tactical games I know that are not just Battlefield One, but are set in World War One. And up here, okay, we'll try this here. Didn't quite get what I wanted to do, the complete elimination of the unit, but it's still nice to do. Since we're not shooting this turn, we'll spend the money and over reinforce the units, artillery units there. Right. Replacing divisions that are lost really are just taking a unit that is shattered, gutted, whatever, and so you still have a core of the unit around, so it's cheaper to build. Or rebuild. What I've always wanted was a mass online World War I game which behaves like Planet Site 2 is being able to go across different maps. Let's see what this is. Well, closest games. But it's a semi-mix of both. Wars and fictional, yeah. I'm just sort of staring down this line to see if there's weaknesses I want to exploit this turn or just gradually push. I think we're done. We're gonna let the Entente have their turn. Okay, U.S. forces deploy at Orleans. German Paris gun bombards French capital. Okay. German Paris gun. Okay. We're getting close enough to the Frenchies' capital. See down in the corner here where it's thinking and what it thinks it should do. Okay, yeah, we lose 1 MPP. Well, we're being hurt some here. The AI isn't always stupid, but it can be a bit repetitive and counterproductive at times. Because you can leave an open spot and constantly have them send in reinforcements there and kill the reinforcement or the unit over and over and over repeatedly. It will do that. Yeah, you're bombarding my units, I know. Yep. Okay, anti-aircraft guns. They do have a bit of a range, not very far. I think it may be just 1 hex out. Okay, let's see about putting 1 modern German reinforcement there. Play some of our losses. Oh, victory conditions. For a major victory, you need to take all of the provinces of Paris, or hexes, I should say, of Paris. Or for a minor victory, there's several sets of objective hexes, which I forget exactly what they are, but it would be like taking all of the, or at least key ones up here, or key ones in some other areas, or just a minor victory of taking one of these Parisian spots. So this, actually, for the Germans to win, they really have to perform. They don't have to take Paris to get a minor victory, but yeah, it's, you know, there are, you know, you could just taking out Verdun and a few other key, maybe here, I forget what they are, but a few other key spots that would get you a minor victory. Again, taking a bunch of ports or whatever along here would be a minor victory, or just getting one of the, you know, city hexes, the 5 total here. One of them is a minor victory. Getting all of them, you need, but at least these 4, maybe not that Versailles, but these 4. If you get all of them, that is a major victory. So now this is basically to the end of 1918 will play out. I don't know if we're going to continue this. We may. We'll see how. So far, we're getting pretty decent interest, and I'm enjoying it. So that's sort of the combination. I'm not going to play a game that I'm really not enjoying, and I'm also not going to play a game that nobody wants to watch, because why? You know, I can just play it, which I do play games that are not, you know, put up online in any format. So, you know, it's a combination of people watching and I'm having fun. All right. We're still trying to take Pool here. Okay. We got to be smart about this. Recon bombing. Yep, they got interceptors. We got escorts. Have fun in the sky, Sky. Okay, now we have ground attack. Now that these guys have flown over, dropped a few bombs, photographed where all the enemy positions are, the artillery of the division, as opposed to this is, like corps level artillery. But, artillery positions of the division, where all the entrenchments are. We can now give that information over to the standard bombers to come in. More escorts. Take a little damage. Okay, and I didn't watch, but I probably lowered their morale by a little bit. I'm leaving then only because of the foot. Very interesting game. Okay. So we now have that aerial bombard. We have 3 rounds here. So and right now we are at 59% readiness and 45% morale. And I don't know that we're going to take the Hex this turn. We kill the unit. There. We're going to shift and swap those out. Okay, we have 4 action points, and it's going to take 3 to get in here. So we can actually get in here and hold this, get the fort. Oh yeah, well that's right, it's a fort. So we're actually occupying the fort now. So that is good. These guys are no, they only have only 3 action points. Oh man. Hey, MMDB, how you doing? We'll see. Well, this is just a detachment, so I'm not that worried about it. Okay. Good. Now, up here. You need to push down the road than anything else. Okay, we got 10 shots, so let's just shoot 4. Here. We should have recon bombed. Okay, well, might as well do it now. These out. All right, well, we can't move in, but we can swap these out. Okay, now over here, we're still trying to get this town in particular, but cutting this road. Oh, let's keep forgetting, keep forgetting. Right. Don't think we're going to take this or take the position this time. Yeah, not good enough. Okay, you've operated, but you have not. Just reinforcing everything for the future. Okay, so I'm just getting a drink here. Yeah, you've done your thing. You have not, so you can get reinforced. Now down here. Okay, we're going to leave this. Even we could get in there, but we're going to leave this open. So hopefully they'll keep coming in there. We'll just keep killing a unit every turn. Sort of, kind of, I don't know, min-maxing a bit much, but okay, we'll swap you out and then reinforce you back off the line here. Okay, so now you go back to there. You come up to there. And yes, entrench. All right, now up here, you want to take out this British unit. Got an escort, good. Well, that was very inconclusive of an attack, but hey. Right. Take 3 points, just take 3 points. Okay. Very good. That'll just take 2 points to get in, so we'll get in and entrench. There we go. Just one more hex to get that in a straight line and keep pushing forward. Like I say, I'm playing this as if I were in charge, minimizing the loss of life on my side. Because, we got to look at the First World War here in attritional terms. Now, you have attritional terms in the sense of, I'm trying to think here, 3 areas. One, ammunition. It's like here, every turn, these guns get 2 more shell. So 2 more barrages per turn. So feeding, in World War One, the sense of feeding the artillery, feeding the machine guns, feeding, just any old rifles, though that probably doesn't take up much ammunition. Then you have the rifles, the artillery, the whatever themselves, destroying the equipment. And then 3, the attrition of the people. We can look at, and yes, I will definitely admit to being concerned about other human beings, so that I don't want to waste lives. But even if we're looking at this purely as a calculating issue, by having our forces not get destroyed, having our forces grind down the enemy will increase their combat effectiveness and whatnot, but it's also in the real world, you have not only leadership, your officers, and trust me, there were lots of officers dying during World War One. But, the first time a unit crosses a river, whether they're making a pontoon bridge or whether they're crossing in boats or whatever it is, the first time they do that in a real world situation, that's going to be a fair amount of trauma for a unit. Do we swim across? Do we take boats and rush? Do we take boats and go to a position we think isn't being overwatched or whatever? And what are the best ideas? What went well, what fucked up, what other effects that may have had on it. And with that, you've learned, once you've made it across the river and presumably you're not all destroyed, yeah, that's good. No, or basically no sergeants in an army, like if any of these armies, are going to I don't know how, it has the knowledge, has the experience. So if you get fresh soldiers in, they haven't done the crossing before. But if they've done one before, well, then they're experienced. So you don't want to lose that experience or to, turn a division into, completely mixed up, new and old. Sort of like you have not spoiled milk, but you have a bit older of milk, and then you're pouring in new milk with it, and you keep doing that. Well, it's going to infect it. So, it's sort of the opposite, obviously, in that if you have a somewhat trained unit, you're putting in new pieces, yeah, they'll get up to speed better. So you want to keep the attrition, it's not just human life, but it's attrition of skills down. Because, your rifle is your rifle, but your skilled, not just shooter, but guy who's maneuvering around, trained well, he's going to do better than just a national conscript. And that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't think about when they think of attrition. What has Ari just said? I just remembered I really want to have a World War I ace game. There are plenty of old ones, but no new ones that isn't just a DLC for World War II. I want it's a dynamic campaign and everything. Yep. We also have the beginnings of aerial combat here. All right. Well, I think we're going to end the episode here. I want to thank everyone. Please remember to like and share the videos. See you next time for more historical wargaming. And I think we will end the live stream here as well. I want to thank Ari and NMDB von Schweinhund. Let me go up the chat here. Don't want to forget anybody. Of course, Sun Temple Radio. Arno, if he's still around. D.W. Reese, I know we disagree on reasons for World War I, but glad to see you here. Hope you remember to follow the channel. And John Nuska, thank you for hanging out with me. It looks like to be most everyone. Oh, well, Teddy Bachelor on YouTube. Probably he's gone. I don't know. Yep. Thank you all for showing up and hanging out with me. We, meaning maybe Ari, if he can get home in time, but also Arno and others. We're going to be playing War Thunder tomorrow, so hope you guys join us, see whether to actually play or just watch. And I will be maybe Terminator Dark Fate or something this coming Friday for Slytherin, I believe is my next Slytherin stream, but it may not be Dark Fate, maybe something else. Not sure right offhand, but hope to see you all then over there. Thanks, and I hope it was fun to be surely making up numbers with enthusiasm. Well, hey, I love interacting with you guys, and so yeah, don't always need the biggest viewing audience. If you guys interact with me, it really makes my experience better, and I hope other viewers even experience well. Good. So thanks, everyone.